I sure do miss the old Chucky.
Horror Zone.
Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends, and thank you for dropping by the Horror Zone. I hope everyone's doing well tonight. Tonight's video is going to be something I didn't really plan. I just thought after seeing this movie I would talk about it here. Now, this movie came out in the theaters in June of this year, so that's going back several months. It was just released this week on Blu-ray and DVD. Of course, I'm talking about the remake of Child's Play. This was a movie I really wasn't looking forward to. I didn't like the politics that were involved in this remake, something I really won't get into. Seeing the trailers made me even less interested. It just wasn't looking like a film that I wanted to see in the theaters. The only thing that kind of got me curious about checking out the new Child's Play was friends of mine through YouTube and Instagram, and even personal friends that I've known for a long time that went and saw the movie in theaters and really enjoyed it. So I said, well, maybe I should give it a chance. Maybe I should watch it. So didn't see it in theaters, called it up on demand tonight. My wife and I watched it. Before I talk about my thoughts on the film, I'll talk about just all involved with it. So the movie is a remake of the 1988 film. It was written by Don Mancini and co-written by Tom Holland, who also directed it, featuring Chris Sarandon, Alex Vincent, Catherine Hicks, and of course the amazing Brad Dourif as Chucky. This movie was written by Tyler Burton Smith. He wrote the screenplay, directed by Lars Kleberg. Features Aubrey Plaza as Karen Barkley. You have Gabriel Bateman as Andy Barkley, Brian Tyree Henry as Mike Norris, and Mark Hamill doing the voice of Chucky. Pretty much what the story deals with is you have Karen and Andy Barkley, who have just relocated to a new city. Much like Karen in the original film, Karen in this film works in retail. Like the original, where the character worked in a big department store in downtown Chicago, this character works in a store similar to like a Walmart or a Target. Andy's a little bit older. He's a teenager in this film, and Karen happens to get her hands on one of these new Buddy dolls. The company puts the Buddy dolls out. These dolls are programmed to learn from their surroundings. They connect with products that are put out by the same company, so they pretty much adapt to their surroundings and people. Once Andy bonds with the doll, it starts to malfunction a little bit, and carnage ensues from that point, and it's now up to Andy to stop Chucky from hurting the people closest to him. Grew up with the original Child's Play. Again, I was a little bit older when this movie came out. I was 14 when this was released. So even though Chucky didn't scare me, I really love the writing and the direction of this film. I love the actors in it. They're all fantastic. This film for me still holds up. It's a product of, the 80s when the My Buddy dolls were huge, and that's kind of what they modeled Chucky after. So yeah, I mean, that was my film growing up. And so I understand that this new Child's Play movie is for the 21st generation children that are growing up with Alexa and Roombas and all of this artificial intelligence. I'm completely, I completely understand that's what this movie is made for, and, they did bring the storyline to a 21st century audience. A few positives about the film for me. I did think it was interesting, as opposed to the original Child's Play film, where you have the possessed doll, because Charles Lee Ray uses voodoo to transfer his soul into the doll. So pretty much the relationship between Andy and Chucky was behind the scenes. You didn't really see Chucky talking to Andy or manipulating him. In this one, Chucky and Andy are bonding right away. So there is a friendship there that gets strained when, of course, Chucky starts to malfunction and do horrible things. So that was different. I thought that was kind of interesting. Also, there's a scene in the film that takes place towards the end where they're releasing like the second wave of the Buddy doll. They're called Buddies in this. They're not called Good Guy dolls. So they're releasing like the second wave of it, and because Chucky can control products put out by the company, he gets all of the products in the store to come alive at once and attack the people there waiting for the second series of Buddy dolls to come out. And I thought that was a really good scene. That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie. The other thing about this movie that I did notice was that there is elements of it that are very similar to Don Mancini's original screenplay. The original screenplay, the Chucky was going to be called Buddy, and it was going to be called, and if I remember correctly, the story was called Blood Buddy, and it was almost like the doll was Andy's avatar. So when anybody hurt Andy, the doll would come to life while Andy was asleep and go and attack or kill said person that hurt him. So there are some elements of that in this film. So I don't know if that was Don Mancini allowing them to take those elements, or if they just took the old screenplay and reworked it for a 21st century vibe. But yeah, I did notice that as I was watching the film as well. And there's a couple of really good kills. There's just, two really good death scenes in this, very gory, and I like that. I mean, that was really good. One of the deaths in particular was really satisfying, and yeah, I mean, those are probably the positives I can say about this film. And this is just coming from me personally. I try to keep it positive on this channel, and I'm not trying to rip people that like this film, but I really didn't like it. And it takes a lot for me to say that. I try to find the positives in everything. And like I said, you know, there was some good gore, there was a couple of good set pieces, but I just did not care for any of the characters in this. Aubrey Plaza just has this monotone delivery with pretty much everything she does, and she works well in certain situations, but as the lead for a film, I didn't buy her as the caring mom, the main character of Andy. I just really didn't care for the actor that much. And then the detective, Mike Norris, I really thought Brian Tyree Henry did a good job. His character just seemed to be one big punchline most of the time. So I liked his introduction, but over the course of the film, it got to the point where it was just overused, the whole comedic angle. And it saddens me to say that I didn't like Mark Hamill that much as Chucky. Brad Dourif is just so iconic as the character for me. I just have a hard time with anybody doing that voice. And I didn't really like the look of Chucky. My wife and I were both talking about it, and it just the way that they animated his face. My wife kept saying he looked like an old man. It was just the way that the face was animated, and you know, I don't know. It just didn't work. It just really didn't work for me. And I went into this not trying to compare it to the original at all. I went in saying this is a new beast. This is a new film. This isn't the old film, so go into it with an open mind, and I did. You know, at the beginning of it, I said, okay, this is interesting. I see where they're going. I thought it was interesting playing with, you know, AI instead of having, you know, voodoo and things like that. But the thing for me is it's a horror movie, and it was more like a comedy. There really wasn't a lot of scary moments in it. There was some gory moments in it, but there wasn't a lot of scares. And one thing I think the original Child's Play does so well is that there's a build-up. You don't see Chucky. You see his shadow, or you see his hand, or you see him run by frame real quick. This, you know, you just see Chucky all the time. The look of Chucky and the way that Chucky adapts and things like that. I mean, it was interesting and different, but I just didn't like the execution of it. And I just thought the dialogue was bad. I thought the plot was really predictable. And you know, at the end of the day, it's just not a movie I want to revisit. You know, I didn't think this movie needed to be remade. We still have the original Chucky franchise that's going on. There's supposed to be a television series that's being developed. I don't know when that's going to come to be, but I'm much more interested in that storyline than this one. I didn't need to see this movie retold. I almost feel like they should have just done a brand new movie. I think this would have worked better if it was just because it does have an original concept within it, and I think that it would have been benefit if they would have just made an original movie about something like this and not called it Child's Play, because it just, for me, it wasn't necessary. That original franchise, that series, is still relevant, and people still love Chucky and they love those old movies. And I don't understand the reason why to remake it, especially when the original series is still going on in some format. You know, we did have Cult of Chucky that dropped 2 years ago. We have a television series that's in development. That series is still going on with Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. Those series kind of stopped, and that's why the remakes came out. The original series stopped because they ran out of ideas, or they painted themselves into a corner and they said, okay, let's start fresh. Whereas the Child's Play series is still going on. I went into this with no expectations. I didn't go into it thinking I was going to love it, thinking I was going to hate it. I didn't go into it to rip it. I'm giving you a 100% honest response to this film. If people might love it, that's fantastic. More power to them. Watch it as many times as you want. I doubt I'm ever going to see this film again. It was just a rough watch. My wife and I both thought it was painful. The dialogue is bad, the acting is bad. Mark Hamill is a great actor. I just didn't like him as Chucky. I doubt I'll ever pick this one up. It's just one that, you know, I don't regret watching it. I'm glad I checked it out for myself, but unfortunately it's one that, yeah, I was really disappointed in. So if I had to give Child's Play 2019 a rating on my scale, I would give it 1 skull. watching the Child's Play remake just made me want to watch this one so many more times. I absolutely love this film. It's so good, excellently written, acted, directed. It's got suspense. It's still, I think, such a great film, and it's still my favorite of the entire franchise. Absolutely love the original Child's Play, and I still think that this new one shouldn't have existed. And like I said, I gave it a chance. I was another naysayer for the Pet Sematary remake, and I actually liked it. Did I like it as much as the original? No, but I appreciated it. They did do something different with that one. They did something different with the Child's Play remake, but it just didn't work for me. I just don't think the writing was very good, and I just didn't like any of the actors in it, with a few small exceptions. So that's my review of the Child's Play remake. Again, this is coming pretty late after the fact, after it was in theaters and just being released on Blu-ray and DVD this week. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. The movie's been out long enough, so tell me what you thought of the film. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you feel like I do, that maybe it's just, you know, you're from a different generation and you're just not connecting to this one? Yeah, I'd love to hear what other people think about this film. I thank everyone for taking the time to watch this, and please stay tuned for some more videos coming real soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always. I have a Patreon page if everybody wants to help support me. The link is down below. And if you do help support me, Dracula here will get more treats, and Dracula really loves his treats. So any support that you can give me would be very, very much appreciated. Right, Drac?